In this video, we're going to be looking at tips for the oral paper for the use of English exam. Now, you should already have done your previewing task, which is number 1.1 in your worksheet. We're now going to focus on what exactly happens in a good group discussion. And with me today, I've got Margaret Lowe, who has a number of years' experience teaching and working with exam classes. Margaret's going to give us some useful and interesting tips. So, Margaret, can you tell us what exactly happens in a good group discussion?
Well, someone has to start the discussion, and they can do this by summarizing the task or clarifying the discussion topic.
Right. I imagine that must be quite important because people tend to understand the question in a different way, so it makes sure that they're all on track.
Yes, it's a good idea to make sure that everyone is clear about what they have to do and what they're talking about.
Right. Okay. So what then after that?
Well, everyone contributes ideas. They give opinions or make suggestions.
And would you recommend that people try to talk for as long as possible, or that one person tries to kind of start off and take the lead?
No, a group discussion is a cooperative process and not a competition. However, after someone gives their opinion or makes a suggestion, they usually back it up with reasons
Right.
and elaborate on their points.
Right. So a good contribution, you could say, would be giving an opinion and then backing it up with a comment.
That's right.
Okay. So what if somebody does talk for too long?
If that happens, interrupting that person may be necessary, but it should be done politely and not competitively.
Right. Okay. And what about the opposite?
If someone is rather quiet, well, others can invite them to speak. They can ask them for their opinion.
Okay. So that implies that it's okay to ask questions as well as make statements in this kind of discussion.
Asking questions is an important part of the group discussion. Someone may ask a question, as we said before, to ask someone for their opinion, or they may need to ask someone to repeat what they've said.
Right. So if they don't hear something, they should just simply ask somebody to repeat it. And if you didn't understand someone's point, you would ask them to explain it. Right. So listening's obviously very important.
Yes, it's very important. Many people think that the skill of speaking is just that, speaking. But it's not a one-way process. In a group discussion, responding to others is just as important as giving your opinion.
So I think a lot of people think that listening tends to be passive. So how would people show that they're listening?
But listening isn't passive. If you're really involved in a discussion, you're actively listening.
What does that mean exactly, actively listening?
Well, it could mean asking questions, as we mentioned before, but it's also elaborating on others' points.
Okay, and what exactly does elaborating mean?
Okay, when you elaborate, you say more about something. You add details, you make it clearer. So if you elaborate on someone else's points, you're showing that you've heard and understood what they've said, or you're trying to understand what they've said.
Right. So what about arguing? Is it possible that an argument could develop in one of these discussions?
Well, it could happen. The word arguing sounds rather negative, but if people disagree with each other, they will want to defend their point of view, and that's arguing. However, in a good group discussion, people respect each other's points of view. They would argue energetically and not in an angry way.
Right. Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. So thank you very much, Margaret. Some very useful tips for us there.